what's up, everybody? It's JD Temple here from the Light of the Darkness. I just wanted to thank El the Alchemist and thank EA Coetting for this awesome time together to chat, to talk magic, to talk religion, to talk this crazy reality. I'm sorry that JS Garrett wasn't able to be with us on this one, but I'm sure the four of us are going to be getting together very soon. Again, thank you all. I hope you enjoy this broadcast, and there'll be more to come. See you in the future. Smell my face, smell it good. Bye.
Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? It is Thursday, and what a day, eh? So good to see everyone. I trust that you are where you want to be, or at least consciously, yeah. Anyway, speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken, because we need that this day and age. Wow, wow, wow. And we're going to be talking about, well, some pretty heavy stuff. I mean, and just making sure that everybody is up to date on that. And there I be. Oh, hey, Steiger, in your future, or you're in my past. Anyway, how you doing? Looking good, dude. And so are all of you. All of you are just looking just fabulous. Dangerous Witch, how are you? Welcome. Good to see you. Jargo and Shirley and Mark, how you doing? I am Nancy. What's up, girls? Susie Q, good to see you. Indigo Alien, hello, Lost in Space. Pen Gritty and Ann and Rob and Emperor Rex and Bonnie and Deborah Sloan, and I'm sure Go-Go's there, and I know Brandon is there as well, and all the rest of y'all. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of this. Whatever the hell this is, I don't know, but it's something, because it's about to get interesting. So the shirt today is have a nice alternate reality. So, hi, Tim, what's up? Good to see you, cousin. Buzzing. Hey, I like that. And B and William and Timothy Watt Jr., how you doing, brother? Good to see you. Think agape love always. Greetings to you. So, first of all, everything I'm going to be talking about is out there. I'm not violating any kind of NDA, no national security. And what makes this interesting, because as maybe most of you are aware, tomorrow has been called by the, I don't know if it's the current head or the ex-head of, I don't know if it's Hezbollah or Hamas, I'm not sure. But they're calling for a worldwide day of blood. All Muslims all around the world. That's that religious thing, man. It's a bloody mess. So now my personal feeling is I think this may be a false flag. From the people that I used to hang around with, if there is going to be an attack on the United States, it's going to happen. But I doubt if it's going to be announced. I suspect, or at least I lean on the side, that it will be unannounced. It won't be broadcast, unexpected. So that's just me. And I got a lot to cover, so I'm going to get right into it. Much love to y'all. Hello, Nina. Good to see you, darling. And Bonnie again. And Lori, how are you? So, as many of you may or may not, I think most of you had, or those of you who are new, when I used to do the Steiger perspective every Thursday night over on Artists First. Well, near the end, my shows got a little too hot. You know, I was bringing out things that the powers to be didn't want to hear about. And this is going to be a replay of the show I did in the Steiger perspective. I did it in January of 2021, so almost 3 years ago. Now, in the Old Testament times, the way a prophet was proven to be a prophet was that if they spoke of something and it did not come to pass, well, they were stoned. So back in the day it's like, well, you're going to say you're a prophet, you best be really sure about that. I always think of Flavius Josephus on that. Son of a bitch got lucky. Maybe he knew something we didn't know. But in any case, we are today in the United States, a nation. We're no longer a nation. We have been invaded. And that's just the hardcore reality. We have government and officials who have violated their oath of office and should be immediately impeached. They have lied to the American people. And unfortunately, the American people are a bunch of saps. We as Americans are lazy. We love being pacified. And as long as they give us the internet and we have our little devices, we're fine. So when I did this show, what you're about to, and I'm going to read this. No one believed me. I tried to send it to some people at Fox News that I knew, tried to send it to some others. They didn't want it. It was, it was just too hot. So I present to you a replay in real time of the Steiger perspective that aired back in, I think this was either the first week in January, I believe, of 2021. Let me just say this. This is not new. The information that I'm going to repeat here has been known since the Obama administration. Unfortunately, the Trump administration reacted too slow, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And then we have the current situation today. Those of you who live in Europe, you know of what I speak of. A nation is a sovereign nation, and a sovereign nation must have borders, and they must be protected. This has not happened. We've allowed our enemy in. And so what you're about to hear, back nearly 3 years ago, most people just thought it was just, a good show. I was being serious. I have sources. Don't have them anymore because, well, quite frankly, I left that. And my points of view today are a little bit outside the box, if you know what I am saying. So allow me just to pull this up, and we'll talk when I get finished, and I'll be adding commentary in here as well. And again, thank you, everybody. Please pass this on, share this. I doubt if it would ever go on Facebook. As you know, these shows are immediately posted over on Rumble, Odyssey, I think as well, Spreaker, but definitely on Rumble. More and more people are noticing this, and Rumble's a very crowded platform, going to get crowded. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the comments as well. So here I go. And I'm just going to read this, and I'll have to cut some of the things out because there's still sensitive topics here. I'm perplexed why it is humans love to hurt. Remember, this is nearly 3 years ago. Maligned, enslave, and kill. And let's be honest, all this love and peace is nonsense. Humans hate it. We prefer war, suffering, and murder to any damn peace and unity crap. We will stab you and anyone else in the back in a second, and we will lie to your face all the while we twist the knife in a little deeper. Maybe it's because of the environment we are in, because in this reality, it is the Hunger Games for real. Maybe we are like this because in this place that we call the land of the living is a place where you must kill something in order for you to live. That is, or once alive or living just to survive, to live another day. Just think about that for a second. We all must kill and consume something that is alive or was killed in order for you to eat it and to keep you alive, strong enough to kill for another day. Wow. I read this morning, my wife, and she says, "Oh man, Wayne," she says, "Okay. Then, if that was not bad enough, we live in a reality where others of our own kind seek to dominate us and force us into servitude or experiment upon us, or make it where you have to take a pill or this or that. So your entire life, you pay for the very thing that made you ill to begin with." The freak show continues, where the complete environment is one of total surveillance, where your every thought is recorded and analyzed, and you become nothing more than a living zombie devoid of a living spirit, just an empty soul. All the while, we are food for something most cannot see, and it feeds off us while we are alive, and it seems there is no escape, at least not in this life. We all hope maybe in the next one, but maybe not. Humanity is trapped within a cycle that repeats itself continuously, and it never ends. Because of what has occurred by the invasion of the United States of America, by 2025, America will be a wasteland and but a mere reflection of what it once was. 2021, the year America was invaded by a foreign enemy, and not one American, said or wrote a single word of protest. We just sat on our lazy butts and allowed our country to be invaded. Not a single shot was fired. No American, and I hate to say this, gives a rat ass about the border of America. No, Americans could care less and don't want to be bothered by such news. Now, remember, folks, this was nearly 3 years ago. As long as we got our cell phone and our internet service and our video games, who cares? There was no action taken by Congress to make sure the laws were being enforced. No, in fact, Congress helped pay for this invasion, which means you paid for this invasion. Now, that is so freaking pathetic, but that is the truth. And now the invasion is in full swing and will not stop until 20 million illegals have arrived. 2021 will be just the first wave among many. In 2022, we will see the second largest wave, and by 2023, the tables will have turned. We will be witnesses to the single largest migration of humanity ever in history. Just for historical perspective, there never has been any army invasion of 3 million. Now think about this, America. And this is my comment for today. I heard the news that the numbers have come out from the Border Patrol Service. We're getting close to that 20 million number right now. In fact, the admission coming from the Border Patrol Service is that approximately 2.5 million known terrorists are now in the United States. Now, let's go back to January 2021. When the invasion occurs, that always means the end of that which existed before the invasion. And if you live in America, you are now a slave to the system that you have been reduced to indentured servant status, where you will work and pay high taxes. Then you will watch your hard work and sacrifice be given away to a foreigner who is lazy, does not care about you, will rape your wife, your daughter, steal your food, steal your house, take your savings and spend it as though it was they owned it, and you will not be allowed to say a word. You are a slave, not a citizen, and you will either obey or your government will make sure you never say a word in protest. This invasion will reshape the entire American landscape. And within 10 years, America will be a third-rate country with no borders, no safety, no infrastructure, where crime will be the norm and death will be everywhere, and no laws to protect the American citizen. This regime that was never actually, well, I'll keep that, into office, has been shown they have no loyalty to America. Americans are second-class citizens as far as they're concerned, and they have said as much, i.e., New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I can just go on. They are the true enemies of all Americans, and you can now see they never were going to do anything but destroy the American way of life, liberty, and justice. Even as I speak this, there is another wave of humanity that will begin to arrive, and this was back again 3 years ago, within the next 30 days. And these large caravans have known military soldiers and terrorists. They will be joining up with their comrades to begin setting up military operations on American soil, most likely in your city or town, and you will never know. And get this, we are paying them to invade our country. Biden and his list of criminals through, at that time, Speaker Pelosi, because of their illegally funding these organizations, the American taxpayer has been paying billions of money, of our dollars, to these terrorist organizations. The numbers that have now been released and admitted to are frightening. And a lot of what I just read has already happened. These are covered now in the mainstream news. So I ask you, America, who are the real terrorists? Those crossing our borders illegally, or the ones in Washington, D.C.? What the hell is wrong with you, America? Do you really have your head so far up your ass that you can no longer think for yourself, and you now have fecal matter for brains? Because that is the evidence. Or are you just flat out don't give a shit about you, your family, your country, and you just sit back while 2.5 million terrorists, these are called special countries. The reason why they're special countries, because they have vowed to hurt us. They have been allowed to cross our borders and to consume all of our resources. These people are now in government. They're in city councils. They're on school boards. They now are in the military. They now work for some of the biggest tech companies. They are well embedded into the bureaucracy of Washington, D.C. And this has all been planned. This was part of the Obama agenda. So as they consume our resources, that is what an invading army does. They consume, steal, kill the enemy, and these invaders have no loyalty to anything or anyone in America. They are like locusts, consuming everything in sight, along with bringing in disease to infect the local residents. Remember, no one crossing the border has to be vaccinated. No one. Most Americans have not a clue what is happening and it cannot be undone. The damage that this is about to inflict will affect the entire nation for generations to come. For we have allowed the hordes of barbarians into our country, and the war is already lost. And our leaders sat back and did nothing. Not one of them did anything other than run their sewer traps while laws were being broken on purpose. Our lawmakers, again, did nothing. Sadly, the efforts being put forth by Texas is not enough. Now, this was a concern to Abbott 3 years ago. And look at the prophetic words of my back then. Being put forth by Texas is not enough to turn the tide, and they realize what all of America is about to realize. Those hordes are coming to your neighborhood, and they will be looking for food and shelter. And when they move into your yard and walk into your house, which is happening, and know this, America, There is not a damn thing you can do about it. In fact, if you try to protect yourself, you will be arrested. Again, America, you cannot do a damn thing about this. They have more rights than you do, and they have the full force of the United States government and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris at their back, who have said they can take what they want. Americans are going to learn to be second. These are all words that can be verified. Let us stop and begin to calculate the cost, and this by this. Now realize there's nearly 20 million here. All you in New York, Chicago, Detroit, you're finding out, aren't you, that your benefits, because of your particular circumstance where we had this safety net, Johnson brought in the new society. Those rights, that money is now being given to non-citizens. And now, those who are been on welfare, who can no longer, do you know what the Biden administration has done to those on food stamps? Average family now, some are just $26 a month. But let's continue. So let's calculate the cost of this case in 3 million illegals coming into our country, with another 3 to 5 million who are now heading in this direction. They have no skills. They are uneducated. Most are sick. They basically are lazy. They will suck the life out of our country by using everything they can and not pay a cent for any of it. Why? Because you, America, you American citizens are their bitches, and you will get on your knees and you will kiss their ass, all the while they crap on you and our country. Then they will rape our children, rape our young girls, as the gangs are now up in Minnesota. Yeah. Venezuelans, primarily. They are raping wives, grandmothers. They steal from anyone they can and will bring every city down into the sewer, all the while Joe Biden dances as our country burns. I intend to show you just how much of this is costing every American taxpayer and how much will it be costing us all in the future. And that price is no less than the soul of America. It is being raped by hordes of invaders, and they are cannibals consuming everything they can, leaving nothing for those who worked, sweated, and paid for what they take for granted. So, American taxpayers, shut your mouth. Submit to these new owners of your house and country. You may have worked for it, but Biden has given it to them, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. You did nothing to stop or even lodge a protest, so shut your freaking mouth and obey, you fools. So let's talk about how this is going to happen. Security. Let us talk about national security. This is the single number one fear of those that I've talked to who are on the border, and what they are saying, which is being ignored by the media, is that the numbers are much higher than even the estimates are saying. Now, folks, I wrote this 3 years ago. And I knew then, because I knew people in the Border Patrol in attending certain meetings, that during the Obama administration, the frightening thing was by 2011, they were finding camps that were Quran, other Islamic militant material, maps of our interstate, maps of our city. Imagine what they've now had time to do for 10 years. So, the numbers, the actual numbers, no one knows, because it has gotten so bad that the numbers being spoken, 3 to 4 million that have already crossed illegally in 2021, and another 2 to 3 million to 5 million they're estimated in 2022. The word has now spread worldwide. If you can get to Central America or Venezuela, in which Delta and United run flights, they've been running these flights. They know that these people, and their whole thing is, hey, we ain't got nothing to do with it. They pay for a ticket. But they fly into Venezuela, where the Venezuelan government, knowing that these are known terrorists, these are army conscript, they give them new passports. Then they go up the Freedom Road, coming from Venezuela through Central to America, with a number of these countries aiding these terrorists, and they allow them to come in. We know that there have been, and there are caches of weapons throughout the United States. We know in some cases where they have actually seen heavy armored personnel crossing our borders, and this government doing nothing. So the word is out. Get to Central America, South America. You can get into America free and have a lifetime of free food, housing, money from the Biden administration, and people from almost every poor country. They're sending us their trash. Yeah. You that live in New York City, Chicago, Detroit, Dearborn, Michigan, I can just name city after city. You know what's happening. What has been witnessed is that there are terrorist organizations that have sent their operatives into the U.S. and have set up operations in every city in America. One expert said as many as 500,000 soldiers have crossed the border, are in the positions that once the signal is given, they can strike within any city without any fear of resistance. And since many cities are at a critical staffing situation with emergency responders such as police, remember defund the police? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And now that the U.S. military is operating at 2/3 readiness levels, this expert aide said they could cripple the entire infrastructure within 24 hours with almost no response from the police or military. It gets worse. Since the Biden administration has ordered the U.S. Border Patrol to stand down, and this is now well known, there are fully operational military camps less than 25 kilometers inside Mexico. And these are not Mexican soldiers manning these camps. This source says they are Chinese. During the Obama days, the Border Patrol was finding deserted camps in Arizona and New Mexico as that indicated ISIS. We also know that they have had sleeper cells for years, but there is a renewed activity indicating something could be in the works with the porous border with no security. The experts are very concerned something has been planned, and they now seem to have all the assets they were needing into place. We are just at that place now. A little side note, it takes less than 2 generations to change a community or a nation. So what will the attacks look like once the word has been sent out and activated? Soft targets. Let's talk about this. This is going to be the number one terror. The sleeper cells will hit us where we are not expecting, and no one will be prepared for their brutality. If you have seen what's happened in Israel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Get ready. It's coming here. They will most likely, and hear me on this, folks, this is well known. They will most likely hit daycare facilities along with elementary schools. They will wait for the mothers who will come screaming because their children have been sacrificed to a foreign enemy who they have never met, but who hates everything about you, and they will mow you down in gunfire and blood. And then when the first responders show up, they will be used as targets, along with the police, who will be killed within minutes the minute they step outside their patrol cars. And because of the insanity of defunding police departments, they are not prepared or ready to deal with such attacks or a threat. Most police will leave their jobs to go home and protect their families, all the while the jihadists will continue with their mission. They will kill as many Americans as they can. It is to inflict terror, the fear. It is not just the big cities, because Obama and the U.S. has settled many of these terrorists in small towns across America, and these are their bases of operations. Over the last several years, they have sneaked into our country weapons, ammunition, surveyed the landscape, infrastructure, and they know where to hit us to cause as much fear as they can. They will hit the interstate systems. They will cripple our highways and interstates by placing explosives at key junctures to render our interstates useless. Interstate 70 and 10 is of the highest priority market, with interstates 95, 35, etc. will be hit along with other key north-south interstates. Once you have to understand, when Eisenhower brought in the interstate system, it was a military operation. They know that. The thing about America is that we have these infrastructures that we can't do without. And to shut down an interstate, you don't need multiple targets. You need key targets. Military. Sadder yet, many have infiltrated our military and government. This will add to the chaos. They will deliberately sabotage key communications, transportation systems, logistics, all will be affected. We get into the public health aspect. This is another problem. Many cities are now seeing with the influx of these illegals that they're not vaccinated against measles. The typical things that mumps, the things that we hear have taken such lengths to protect our citizens. And so when this happens, and kids are germ factories to begin with across the board. All right, let's get into food. Food, critical about this, folks. And it's already happening. We're now seeing food banks in the United States that depended on U.S. aid, that our government would help offset the need because the homeless situation is out of hand. They keep trying to paint this rosy picture about the economy. It ain't rosy, folks. More and more people in the middle class are going hungry. This administration has cut back the availability of food to many of the poorest of our people. Food is going to be a big problem. Let me just say this. You can check me out on this. But since this administration in the last 3 years, over 1,000 plus food processing facilities that are in the supply chain have been burned down. No investigation, no news media covering it, but yet it's happened. The number of processors, Tyson, just a few, closing down in states all of their processing plants. No more chicken, no more pork. Yeah. The U.S. cannot feed on any consistent basis 5 million illegal aliens and feed their own citizens. Food prices are in hyperinflation state. Now, folks, I wrote this back in 2021. Look at what's happened over the last 3 years. You gone into the grocery store? Yeah. Let's continue. Prices are in hyperinflation state of which the Fed says there is no relief in sight, and Americans need to prepare for even higher prices lasting into 2023. Well, we now know that this is going to go into 2024, 25, who knows after that. Empty shelves are already becoming a common sight in most states, which would have never been possible just 2 years ago. Major grocery chains are warning their customers that even more shortages are coming, and they need to prepare for that becoming the new normal. Stocked and full shelves on every aisle will become rare. With this influx of humanity, feeding them is going to become a major issue and will become a short-fused powder keg. Most local communities that have been absorbing this invasion have depleted their local resources and are depending on regular shipments from the government, mostly FEMA and DHS, to supplement food shortages. And this is the travesty about this, folks, is that we now have, hold on one second. We now, and this has been shown by CNN, Fox News, they've gone down there and they have these facilities stocked with food. But yet you go into the major cities and they will tell you the food banks are begging for food. Something ain't right. So while this influx of humanity feeding them is going to become a major issue, and we become I have to catch up. The challenge has been on how to anticipate the numbers which never stop and are only increasing. And when they arrive, most are badly dehydrated and hungry. You have to be human. We can't be like Hamas. We can't be like, these barbarians. You got to feed them. Reports from local grocery stores, mostly independent operations, are reporting they have to compete with FEMA to replace their shelves, and the prevailing attitude from FEMA contractors is screw the locals. How refreshing. The other impact is prices. With these strains and demands on the local food distributors, they are having difficulty in locating new suppliers to make up the shortage. And if they can be located, it is with a much higher price. All of this is passed down to the consumer, who is finding it harder and harder to afford to eat like they used to just a couple of years ago. They're competing with FEMA. Our own government are buying in, swooping in, and buying up these vital resources. They're not feeding the American people. This is going to feed the invading hordes. When Americans realize that all these illegal aliens are getting a free meal ticket, hey, they're staying in 4 and 5. It's in the law now. The Biden administration has absolutely put that they have to stay in 4-star, 5-star facilities. Yeah, they're crazy. Again, when Americans realize that all these illegals are getting a free meal ticket where they can go into any store and buy the most expensive food items they want with no limits, and it is all paid for by the American taxpayer. Now, these same taxpayers have been told by Biden to stop whining, and oh, by the way, get used to it, what you are seeing, because more of the same is coming. So Americans are finding it harder to feed their families and pay for it, but illegals who never worked a day or paid a penny in taxes are eating free at no cost and do not have to worry about how much they throw away. And look at some of these things. They're now forbidding cameras at these hotels because the waste that is being, the people that here's the problem. If it doesn't cost you anything, you have no respect for it. And more and more Americans, taxpayers, are realizing this. What we do know, and what this administration is fully preparing for, are food riots. Food riots are coming on a scale never before seen. And once the looters start raiding the grocery stores, that is when it's going to get really rough. I know for a fact that all the major changes already have contingency plans. These are the larger stores ready to put into place with their own security to protect their investment. Just think of Soylent Green. When they let in 3 million people, now we know close to 20 million, the equivalency of the entire population of Dallas, how do you feed them? At least 2 meals a day. And again, who's footing the bill? Housing. So where do you put 3 to 20 million homeless people who are not citizens and have no way for paying for housing? Current estimates say that there is about 750,000 Americans who are homeless. Actually, I saw that number. They estimate that number in some cases to be nearly 5 million Americans are homeless in America. And when you add veterans and other groups, that adds another million to the demographics. All of these people cannot find or afford housing. The housing for many veterans are being evicted to allow illegal aliens free access to their facilities. They're being turned out onto the street. The United States government does not give them any any debit cards. They do not feed them. They do not provide housing. They do not provide the medical essential services that illegals are getting in high priority. In fact, it is estimated now in New York City that when a person goes into their doctor, that they are many times put at the back of the list, having to wait for months because illegals have priority over Americans. It is well known that nationally there is a housing shortage, which drives up costs. So exactly how does the government go to provide housing for as many as 20 million illegals? You tell me. Now, what do you think is going to happen when Americans who were born here, served their country, paid taxes all their lives, and will not get free housing, but an illegal alien will? What do you think about that, America? We are letting our citizens freeze and go without housing. But if you cross into our country illegally, you get a new home, rent-free, or a 4 or 5-star hotel paid in a year in advance, pay no property taxes, do not have to pay for utilities, free furniture, free cable, free internet, free toys, free phones, free money. Everything is paid for as long as you are not an American. This is what an invasion looks like. Clothing. With 3 million to 20 million people who are homeless, they will not only need food and shelter, but they're going to need clothes, lots of clothes. And since they have no money to buy food or housing, they don't have money either for clothes. And isn't it odd that when we show the cameras in cities, Chicago, others, that many are wearing brand new Nikes? Wow. So guess who is going to foot the bill for this one? Yep, you got it. The American taxpayer. If you, to give you an idea as to what this is costing, figure $1,000 per migrant. That's what they're calling. Average that by now 20 million. The totals are astronomical. Some estimates say that at the current rate, it will cost the American taxpayer nearly $1 trillion. $1 trillion to house, feed, clothe, provide medical facilities, etc. We are talking about an invasion that is greater than the state of Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland. So, and then you get into education. Our schools are in absolute states of chaos and collapse because of the pandemic and the draconian measures that were put in place. Psychologists, psychiatrists, school education officials now know that we have a generation that's going to be regressed. This was where we should be spending money on, but no. More and more school districts are being required by the Biden administration to siphon off resources that were meant for the children to pay for the teachers, etc., that we see every year. No, they're siphoning that off. Crime. Let's talk about this. We now have gangs. These are ruthless gangs. And then we're not even talking about the militants, the sales that are here. Wait till they get going. It said this goes without saying, it is off the charts. And listen, this was 3 years ago. I just saw a report that in Washington, D.C., murder, carjackings, 1,000, 2,000% up. Same numbers in New York City, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, San Francisco, L.A., Houston. I mean, in Houston, you've got illegals setting up an illegal country in Houston, Texas. You've got criminals now claiming the islands for the country of Venezuela on our border. Yeah. And the thing about it is, you will hear for the longest time, NBC, which is nothing but bullshit news, CBS and all the rest of them, they denied this. In fact, they squashed it. They don't let these numbers out. Why? Because it goes against the narrative. But you talk to local law enforcement officials, and by the way, how many police departments have been decimated because of the insanity of defunding police? Is that the most idiocy you've ever heard? But the local law enforcement officials, they'll tell you a different story, one that has every kind of horrendous crime possible that these illegals are committing. And they don't care. They don't fear U.S. law enforcement. They know no one is going to enforce them. Also, illegals know that if they are arrested, they're immediately, by the Biden administration, required to be released. No bail, no nothing. So this is what an invasion looks and feels like. And here's a shocker. No country has ever survived when invaded by such numbers that have already stormed our country's borders. None. Not one country. This is where war coming to America, and now it's too late. The damage has been done. The horses have been out of the corral. You can't get them back in. So, I'll stop. These are facts. Now, I haven't violated any community standard. These are facts that can be easily verified by anyone. We're living it. The fact that I brought this out 3 years ago, and now it's the number one topic. All the conservative stations, oh, they're all up in arms. You assholes. We tried to warn you 3 years ago, but no. You want to get into this Trump crap. Screw Trump. Screw Biden. I don't give a goddamn about either one of them. We are in a war. We have been invaded. And it's not stopping. And eventually, the numbers will become so great that we cannot sustain them. And if a call goes out to the militant Muslims that are in this country to attack, we are defenseless. We do not have the capacity to defend ourselves. No one is going to come rescue us. You're right, Joe. This is not a conventional invasion, but it is an invasion. It is flat an invasion. The UN said it's the single largest migration of humanity. They're doing it under the banner of climate change, but that's bullshit. This was planned. This was allowed to happen. And when I look at Congress, you make me sick. Every one of you frauds. You're hypocrites, liars. You so-called Christian Congress people that want to hold your Bible up, you're a goddamn hypocrite. You're guilty of this. You caused this pain upon this blessed country. You have blood on your soul, not on your hands, on your soul. Now, I don't know what happens on the other side when you cross over with that type of karmatic debt. I got a feeling it ain't fun. I'm just telling you, folks, the system is corrupt. Everything is corrupt. This is what an invasion does. It ushers in chaos. There's no longer the rule of law. Exemptions are made. Classes are decided. And unfortunately, for the vast majority of Americans hearing this, your fate, you've been sold out. Your congressperson, the one that you voted for, sold you out. Yeah. Fun, isn't it? Oh, we love to talk about the occult and the spooky things. And oh, it's all kind of fun on that because you know what? No one's fucking paying anything for it. It don't cost you anything. But we don't want to talk about this. No. It's negative energy, Wayne. I can't handle it. Yeah. Grow up. Time to put on the big boy britches. I'm all for Gnostic knowledge. But when we sit on our ass and play time while all this is going on, who's really the most intelligent here? Pass this around. It's going to happen. It can't be stopped. It can't. I wish it could be, but it's going to have to play out. And unfortunately, in these types of games, they're for keep. People die. Horrendous deaths. Needless deaths. For an agenda that I don't fully understand. I don't understand why humans have to become so low, so regressed in their thinking. They're sickening. They wear their suits and ties and their fancy dresses, and they think they're privileged because I have my little card here that says I'm a congressperson. Yeah. They sold us out. Your Democrat congressperson sold you out. Your Republican congressperson sold you out. They've sold our nation out. We are a nation of paupers. We can never pay back the $200 trillion debt. Never. The only way that those debts are ever paid for, you collapse the system. Someone said the same thing happened in the nation of Israel. Yeah. And I'm just talking about this. Tomorrow we'll pick up on something a little bit, less serious, but we have to face this reality. And when it breaks the news, I don't want you to be freaking out. You need to be alert more than ever. If you live in a city, you best start growing some eyes behind your head. Those of us who live in the rural and the country, we have an advantage to those in the cities because our communities are much more tightly knit. And depending on what part of the country you are, those are the one things that I've read in some of the scenarios from the think tanks, that the jihadists know this. They know they can't take on rural America. They'll try to operate. We'll probably end up doing more damage to them than what they'll ever find in the cities. There's no place for them to hide out here. But in the cities, urban guerrilla warfare becomes ugly. Folks, I don't know where prayer can even come in, because to me, why pray to a God that if it was all knowing and all seeing, and don't tell me is that because it has a higher intelligence. No. If it was so damn smart and really cared for humanity, because apparently we can't care for ourselves, I don't know what that God would do. Again, why would you pray to a God of war for peace? If this God has commanded his followers to kill the infidels, the unbelievers, how is that holy? How is that God? I don't understand that God. But it's the same God that I served for most 50 years of my life. I reject that God. That God is my enemy, whether it be in this life or the next to come. Murder is murder, and no God gets an exception, gets an exemption. Pretty heavy topic, I know. But they're here. And that's my message. understand they're here. They're not coming. They most likely have been in your city for longer than what you realize. They're now integrated into the community. That's what makes this more dangerous than ever before. Because when your neighbor suddenly turns on you, where do you go? I believe that what we've taught on this channel, that there is a higher source, there is a higher vibration, higher frequency. But we're competing against something that's really ugly. It's powerful. It feeds off of us. I haven't seen any religion, any human, any theology, anything, any philosophy that is to set us free. They all seem to have umbilical cords attached to this thing. And this thing has done it before to us, worldwide, many times. Which I just have to look at this and say, if the simple evidence, Razor's Ackman, we're a slave race. We've been slaves. We have been the victims of this thing, whatever it is, I think for our entire existence. And my voice will only be one of many millions that have said the same thing. We don't want this. We don't like it. We don't want to participate in it. But they force us. I don't like that. You can't talk to a person that's aiming a gun at you. You can't talk reason to that person when they feel that they have been commanded by God to kill you, to rape your wife, to rape your daughter, to rape your son. Then before you die, you see them disemboweled. You see them beheaded. You see things they do to your wife that would only terrorize you in the next realm. It's coming. It's already happening right here in this country. More and more reports of just that happening. Rick, God is testing us. I don't know what God, why would God test us? I don't understand that rationale. I'm sure maybe you're being not serious about it, but I don't understand that rationale. I think it's time that we start testing God, because he seems to be the asshole here, the incompetent one. And then I can't figure out which God you're talking about. The one that I grew up with is a true asshole. Again, when he only allowed Moses to see his ass, that was to tell Moses, you're going to kiss my ass. Nah, I don't like that either. Bonnie, I hope you're right. I really, really do. Yeah, Zenith, I have no doubt. I love my race. I love my species. You know, I think that there's such hope for us if they leave us alone. But they won't. They don't. They're always messing with us. Always. Lady Ellie, how are you, darling? Yes, that's what I look at it. I believe that there is this source that's weeping. I don't know if we've obviously done this to ourselves. We've obviously surrendered our sovereignty. We've given it permission. And I don't see it changing. Maybe the impossible could happen. Maybe instead of war, the whole world wakes up and said, no. The whole world takes a day off. The whole world takes a day off for peace. Wages are paid. If we take a day off, and if we need to longer, we take off 2 or 3 days. The whole world stops. Maybe that will change it. That hasn't ever been done before. Maybe that's an answer. Maybe richer people than I can begin to put their money, instead of hoarding it in a bank account, can't take it with you. Why don't you sow it in for the peace of humanity? Leave a legacy that will make you a god in the future, or a goddess. You have the money. I'm talking to a couple of you. Why? Are you so afraid that if you take something out of your precious bank account that, you have what, one less zero? Is that it? That's not your safety. It's not your source. It's not your God. I love y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you again for listening. We all have our different ideas, but we need to come together. The world needs to stop. It needs to stop this madness. Enough lives have been sacrificed. Enough blood has been spilt. How much blood does it require to satisfy a revenge? No, I'd rather see the world stop and really think about what we're doing. Do we want this? I don't think we do. All right. Salute to you, Scotty, and all the rest of you. Mary Wins, we love you, darling. Destruction of industries. That's what we're talking about. Thank you, Ballot Brandon. Much love to you too, my friend. So thank you. Thank you for listening. I don't consider myself a prophet. I just tap into things. And again, I have the track record now. I mean, there it is. And many of you probably remember that Steiger perspective. There were some good ones. That's all I can say about that. So peace for our world, peace for our species. Homo sapiens, we are diverse, but that's what makes us divine, is our diversity. If we can just learn to embrace that. Wow. Red Honey 9, much love to y'all. Robin, good to see you as well. So Susan Colbert, much love to you. Gaia, much love to you. Paul, thank you. Scotty Boy, much love to you, my friend. We can do this. Maybe if there's just enough people that would give just that little bit of caring and stop. Maybe we can get a day. Maybe we can actually get a day where the world would stop. Wall Street would stop. Government would stop. Everything stops. Because we certainly need to stop this madness. This is crazy.
What's up? It's JD Temple here from the Light of the Darkness, and today I'm going to be talking about this Friday, October the 13th, the Rite of Ametaz taking place at the Washington Monument. Mother the Mystic and I will be traveling up to DC to perform this anointing ritual of the Washington Monument, calling forth Asmodeus and Azazel to bring forth the protective and cloaking current of Ametaz, and that will be bestowed upon each and every participant that takes place in this group ritual. We are extending this to the immediate family of everyone that signs up. You would just send their information along with your selfie, your name and date of birth, include your family members, your immediate family. We will include them in the ritual free of charge for this protection, this element of protection and of cloaking, both physical and magical cloaking. These are Egyptian mysteries that are tied to the monument, that are tied to the magical layout and imbuement of Washington, D.C., and of what protects this continent of North America. And what has been protecting this country, the United States, since the beginning. These are ancient Masonic mysteries, these are ancient Egyptian mysteries, and this energy of Ametaz is by far the most protective current and most protective magical element and quality that I have ever worked with, that I have ever stumbled upon. There will also be a channeled power number that each participant will get, that will be channeled by us while we are there performing that ritual. This will be my 4th time anointing this monument with blood in order to activate it and to energize it, to really bring alive in our reality this mystical, ancient mysteries that is that monument, that is the Egyptian mysteries. You can see, like I told you in my video a few days ago, maybe a week ago, that we were in the quiet before the storm. A lot of things are changing day by day in our reality all over the world. It's undeniable the direction that things are moving, and magical and physical protection and cloaking are vital. It is vital to begin to ascend as quickly as possible. Not to be a fearmonger, but you don't have all the time in the world. And I sense that and see that, and that is why I'm taking magical action. That is why I'm taking physical action. Martha and I both are this Friday, the 13th, in Washington, D.C. I hope that you will want to join us in our endeavor in this. This will be a very, very important and impactful ritual to take place in, and to stick that feather in your magical cap repertoire there. So I love you all. I hope that you will join us on the 13th. Email me at jdtemplehealing@gmail.com. The Cash App and PayPal options will be there available for you. Again, the Rite of Ametaz. It's going to include the ritual invocation. It's going to include a video on how to properly open this sigil and the other invocations that you need to be recited in order to connect with this working fully. So we already have a lot of people that have signed up. I hope that we have a few more that will join us. Our energy culminating on the 13th will provide for a powerful, powerful black magic ritual. So thank you all in advance. Love ya. If you're new here, please subscribe. All the Soul Family members and channel members, I love ya. The Wolf Card readings are coming soon too, promise. Love ya. See ya. Bye.